what's going on? How's business? We'll talk about business at the end. We'll do some questions, but tell me about what's going on. Tell me about your team and the group and all of that.
Good. I mean, obviously our volume has gone down in terms of velocity of sales, but I think every single person on my team is working on at least one thing, and most are working on 2, 3, 4 things in terms of transactions, either representing buyers or tenants or getting listing communications going. And personally, I've been busy. It's not, the second quarter for me obviously isn't going to be the biggest revenue quarter, but we have steady transactions, and I feel very grateful for that. And I've been, really giving myself perspective, because what I hate more than anything in life, perhaps, is board packaging. And we've been doing a lot of them, and I have someone who helps me, but I ultimately have to go through them, and there's always issues. And with COVID, it's like, a crazy new process to get them out, which I've been doing myself, because I want to make sure, which I'm glad that I did, because services are not performing the way that they did, like FedEx. Sure. So for example, I personally sent out a FedEx that was critical for a board package to be processed. Mm-hmm. And it was supposed to have arrived, and FedEx said it arrived, 2 days after it was sent, and it took another 9 days to actually get it. They lost it. So I'm glad I did it, because if someone on my team did it, I would have been pissed.
Right. I'd be the same way too. I'm doing some of those little things because you just don't want boxes to grow. You want to check boxes these days.
Right. Exactly. And there's too many logistical loose ends. So I'm a bit of a control freak. So I've been, doing more detailed work than I usually would.
You sleep better at night sometimes.
Totally. Yeah. And I know I personally handed the package, so there are too many factors already that are out of our control now.
Now, we follow each other on Instagram, and I've known you for a long time, and you were literally one of the first people to ever invite me to talk to a bunch of brokers about doing pre-sales. You saw it, you got it, and I'm eternally grateful. But your Instagram page, and you, not just because I know you have amazing perspective. Amazing perspective. Yeah. I'm not just blowing smoke. You totally get the joke of life. What's it like to drive a group of people in a pandemic?
Meaning my team?
Yeah.
To drive my team? It's, I found that I've haven't really had to discipline myself, but I do think it's the right thing. I've been much more forgiving and understanding and less demanding of my people, because I know that they're all afraid and struggling, and at the same time, I'm motivating them and I'm telling them what I believe, which is I believe that 2020 was going to be a good year for us before COVID hit, and I believe that it will be a good year for us, and there are indications of it in New York City right now for us. We're getting a lot of requests to see properties that are unoccupied, which the owner is allowed to set up.
Sure.
I just got a $5.5 million offer yesterday. We've got negotiations going back and forth. So I'm trying to really keep their spirits up, and at the same time help them to recognize that I care about them as human beings.
You're really good at it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they're
genuine.
Yeah, and I'm sure they appreciate it. So if that's what's doing it for you, what's keeping you motivated and what's keeping you grounded? What's the secret?
I have a lot of tools in my tool belt. I don't know if do you know that I was a psychotherapist in my first career?
No.
So that required a lot of training, and part of the training required analysis. So, I've been shrunk. My head's been shrunk, which should be called expanded.
Right.
Really, your shrink should be called an expander.
I agree.
Right?
Right.
So, I think that I've just built up a lifetime of tools. I know that that's not very practically helpful, but I think part of it is when I'm afraid, when I'm having feelings that are overwhelming, I really get, I'm forgiving of myself, and I get very clear about what needs to be done, what is in my control versus what's outside of my control. And then when I feel like I'm not as balanced as I would like to be, I do something, and I'll tell you a bunch of, options that make me feel calm and grounded.
Okay.
And, two of those things are cooking is number one. Gardening is number two. Reading. I have so many books. You might be able to see some of them. I've got a huge collection of books, and I love reading and sometimes rereading books. And I've got books that I just was so interested in that I never had time to read.
Okay.
So it provided me the a little bit of time to do that. But honestly, I don't have a lot of free time, and I also structure my time myself. So, in the evening, I make sure that I get clear about my day and the need to do's, the want to do's, and the what am I passionate about that I can make a little bit of progress on somewhere in my day. Like, for example, one thing is, I'll show you what I started, guitar lessons. So I've been practicing guitar, and that is, we're professionals who've been in our businesses for a really long time. And so there's a certain absorption when you're learning something that is different from, and I love what I do. So I know you do too. And I think we're really very lucky, but there's something really exciting and wakes up a different part of your brain when you learn something entirely new. So I'm learning guitar.
What kind of guitar is it?
It's a classical guitar.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And all of these things are keeping you amazingly grounded.
I feel pretty grounded. And I mean, I had COVID.
Really?
In April, yeah. And so that was probably the scariest part of all of this. It was the beginning of April when the symptoms started. And then I was diagnosed by 2 doctors. I couldn't get a good test. They were out of, whatever. But I got two diagnoses, and I was scared because, at the end of the day, it was brutal, but it's definitely livable. But it was so unknown. And when you're having headaches and you're short of breath and you just don't know how far that's going to go, and fever, and, I couldn't taste, I couldn't smell. So I was so grateful. And for that part, I just steadied myself. It was literally day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute.
Great.
I meditate too. I should have mentioned that. I do transcendental meditation at least once a day. I try to do it twice. So that's super helpful. And it just keeps me in the moment. And when I feel afraid, even a little bit for my survival, I meditate, and I just say, I'm okay right now. And I'm going to be okay. I might not know how at this moment, but I will be.
I just started meditating 2 weeks ago. It's fantastic.
Did you?
Yeah,
awesome.
Well, because
of
one of these question and answers, he got me hooked on getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
He told me that he gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, calls into a call that is an inspirational 5 minutes. And then he gets up and he gets going, changes his clothes, doesn't stay in pajamas or shorts.
Right.
Because he said his entire day between 5 and 8 is pretty much done by 8 o'clock. He said 90% of his day is set up. And it was so intriguing. And then the meditation. And it was so intriguing. And it was a point in time where I said, I give this a shot.
Great. Wait, who was it?
Paul Zwiebin.
Oh, yeah. I love Paul.
Right? Paul's a good guy. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, yeah, I know you're doing this 5 a.m. call. I see on Facebook. And he goes, you got to try it. Sure enough, we get done with the question and answer. He sends me the phone number. And I'm like, I'm going to try it tomorrow. And it's been a couple of weeks. It has been a game changer, because I would say by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, it's what he said, 85, 90% of the day.
Totally.
It's set.
So efficient. Also, those are very productive hours for me and you, and probably a lot of people.
Yep.
that we don't even know. And then the rest of the day feels like a piece of cake.
Absolutely.
Right?
And then the evenings, I can practice my guitar, or I can sit and read a book.
Me too. I
Yeah,
love that.
or I can just do nothing. And
Right.
doing nothing takes on a whole new, you know,
Yeah.
my biggest concern, I said to him, I'm going to do this at 5 o'clock in the morning. What time are you passing out? And he goes, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm already doing that. I got that end covered. So let's see if I can do the front end.
Yeah.
And it has been ridiculous.
Yeah. You know, the person who first introduced it to me was Ray Dalio, who's the CEO of
Sure.
Water. And he also was like, this was probably in 2013. And he said, it's a 20-minute vacation twice a day.
Yep.
How do you feel after vacation? What, don't you want to feel like that every day?
Right.
And then when you start to meditate, once you get into the habit, it's like you feel like, when you're like, wow, this is great, and you get to do it every day.
Absolutely. And it clears the mechanism out. It just clears it out. It's fantastic. Are you a podcast girl?
Not really. I mean, I will, my kids send me, my grown kids send me podcasts and I listen to them, but I haven't really gotten into the whole culture. I need to. I will. You?
A little bit. It depends. Yeah. It's got to be something that either is making me laugh or making me think.
Yes.
Those two things I'm pretty much good at. So, I go from the Daily from the Times is great.
Right.
Alec Baldwin.
I do listen to the Daily.
Yeah, it's great. They cut to the chase and all of that good. And waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, one of the things are no TV, no extra, just stay in the lane. So now you said you could read.
You mentioned sleep too. That is critical. Like I'm a sleep believer. I'm just a big believer. I have to get 7 or 8 hours. I don't always, but it makes every bit of difference for anybody, for their health, their life, their mental health. So eating right, sleeping mostly right, eating mostly right, whole foods anyway. And meditating.
You said you're reading. Some people have told me they can't read in this, they can't focus and all of that. Give me a title or two. What's a great book you've read recently?
Oh, so many. I'm looking at I have a few books going now. One is Food Fix, which is about functional medicine. Mm-hmm. My kids are in the food business and my parents were too. So that kind of drives that. One is Howard Stern Comes Again.
Okay. So you're good.
I like, because I am interested in him as what makes him tick.
Right.
Because he's such an enigma. Then I'm reading this, which I read a long time ago, this little tiny thin book. It's a psychology book called The Drama of the Gifted Child. And it's fascinating. And I started reading it again because my niece, who's studying philosophy, asked me for a recommendation and I thought she'd love it. And I thought, I need to read this again because it was seminal to my own emotional development as a young adult. So I'm reading that. I'm reading Woody Allen's Apropos of Nothing. Woody's a client. It runs the gamut. It's either I like to read biographies, a really good novel. Sometimes I don't have one right now. So if you want to recommend one, let me know. Or something that is motivating, makes me think, basically the same as you, makes me think, makes me laugh, or it makes me cry.
Okay.
Yeah,
makes me think and makes me laugh. Crying sometimes. It's enough. Got it.
And if it's like deeply moving,
right. That always gets me.
Woody's book is hilarious, by the way. Yeah.
I'll check it out. What we know the new hobbies. We know guitar.
Yes.
A great new hobby. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a writer when I was a kid. My first major in college was journalism.
Okay.
And I was kind of, I wouldn't say a rebel, but I kind of was, I was a good student, but I also got into a phase where I would skip classes sometimes. I was at NYU and I lived in Greenwich Village and it was so exciting. There were so many interesting things going on. So I had one class in sociology that I really liked, was sort of sociology and psychology at 101 class. And I hadn't been to class the 2 prior classes before a big exam. And the teacher called me in the next week and said, do you have any idea what your grade was? And I said, was it that bad? Did I pass at least?
Right.
And she said, you got a 99. And I thought, well, that shows that my interest was enough to carry me, because I wasn't in the last 2 classes.
Okay.
And I kind of just became fascinated by just what I said about Howard Stern, what makes people tick. And that's the same, that's something that we get to experience. So I got to live that out in a 12-year career as a psychotherapist. And in real estate, I do love design. I do love architecture. I love deal crack, the crack of the deal.
Sure.
But I also love people, and I love being in a position to put the puzzle together, pieces together,
Sure.
With what makes you tick and what's the home that you're going to respond to. And even in new development, when we're planning, it's such fun to imagine from the mind of the buyer who wants to live in that location,
Sure.
what their lifestyle is like, what their needs are, what do they want? And that's all very psychological in nature.
Okay.
So first it was journalism, then psychology, and finally real estate.
Amazing. What's been the best part of isolation for you?
There have been a lot of good parts, as difficult as it's been. I think, having the space to reflect. I miss my people and my clients. I'm still in close touch, but it's not as, immediately demanding with meetings and things like that. I mean, we do Zoom and stuff. This is my 4th Zoom today, but really I feel like I've gotten more centered during this than I was before, actually, because I think you become very conscious by necessity of, what's going to work for you and why and what doesn't work. And you have to be very self-motivated, and that requires a lot of focus. And I kind of love that. And I've loved cooking. We all can get takeout, but I have barely gotten any takeout. I'm perfecting my pizza. I've got
I'm getting to it.
Yeah, you too?
Getting to the questions.
Okay.
Pizza. You're going to the well.
Sorry.
That's
I mean,
right.
my homemade pizza. I'm perfecting it. So, and I just, it's, I miss people. I've started to see a couple of friends in a very cautious way, masking and social distancing, which has been amazing. And also like that feeling I didn't anticipate, I don't know if you've seen anybody outside of your family, but like I've seen a couple of friends and it's like, wow, I love you.
Or I don't want to see you at all. That's it.
Well, you know what? It gives you that clarity too. Like there are people, like I decided, I made a conscious choice because I was feeling kind of torn, and I was very careful. I am still very careful. So I didn't want to see people for longer than some people who were already, more out and about. And then I realized there were some of those people who I wanted to see and I just didn't feel comfortable yet. And then there were some people who were not enhancing my life. And I thought, why do I feel this obligation? There's no obligation.
Yeah, it's a great word.
Yeah.
Great word. There's no obligation.
Like, not now.
No.
Yeah. And
not anymore.
Not anymore. And I hope I keep that, because I've developed the skill a lot more through this career, as you can imagine. But for personal friends, it's very difficult for me to say no still.
The biggest fear I had was it's going to restart and people are going to forget and they're going to go back. And the most interesting thing about being in the city this week is it's restarting slow and people aren't forgetting.
Right.
It's not an on-off switch. And so, today's Thursday. I've been here all week. I was here previously for a week or two. And I'm so thankful that it is going slow. I'd like the restaurants to open so the city doesn't feel without its soul. But,
and also the poor workers.
Yeah, there's 100 reasons. I mean, that's what the city feels like right now. But the slow ramp up is, I believe, preventing people from getting amnesic. And
Yeah,
it's certainly helping me to stay
definitely.
focused and saying, listen, the switch, this, which also leads to the question, I hope you're enjoying this, but are you enjoying this technology that's now, like you said, this is your fourth Zoom today?
Yeah.
Okay. It's my second or third. Do you like this?
I don't mind it. I really don't. I really don't mind it. I kind of do like it.
Yeah.
I think it's better than FaceTime. It's better than, I think it's going to become a much more prevalent tool for us, even when everybody's back at it.
I agree.
Because we're more comfortable with Zoom as a communication modality. And also someone on one of my calls this morning said, which I thought was very clever, this looks like a Brady Bunch screen. All we're missing is Alice in the middle.
That's it. I think it's been unbelievably efficient.
Definitely.
And it doesn't subtract the human connection, and seeing a property and meeting somebody and getting that feedback. It's not the same, but it's a crazy good way of filtering out a lot of noise and just getting to what you want to do and go.
Definitely.
From it. So
definitely. No, I love it.
Are you a TV watcher? Are you watching anything?
I am a TV watcher, but not much. Like I don't know how to work the regular TV. All I know how to do is Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu,
Cool.
and the apps. So like my son has to be around if I want to watch TV. Yeah, so I watch some things, but like.
Have you seen anything good? Have you binged anything good?
I loved Plot Against America.
Okay.
I loved Little Fires Everywhere.
Okay.
I loved Jerry Seinfeld special.
Yep.
I watch Stephen Colbert every night. I like, I'm a little bit of a political, rabble rouser, as you can probably tell by my feed. I'm pretty
All
liberal.
the best people are.
Thank you.
All the best people.
But I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's genuine. It's who I am. So I like Bill Maher. And what else have I watched that I've loved? Oh, Billions. I'm a fiendish Billions watcher.
Paul Giamatti's good.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a biography recommendation for you, but I'll give you a show recommendation.
Yeah, do.
On Amazon Prime, Upload.
Okay.
Upload is fantastic.
Great.
And there's only 1 or 2 seasons, and everybody's waiting for the second or third season.
My timing's perfect. I can binge on 2 seasons.
It's fantastic.
Great.
It was so much fun. It was great. It takes place in Brooklyn and in heaven.
Love that. And what?
And in heaven. It takes place in Brooklyn and in heaven.
Upload.
I'm
watching it.
We'll watch the first 5 minutes and go, this is cool. The writing is sharp and it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. So
right.
I want to hear if you.
Wait, thank you, Lee.
All right, so now I'm going to get to some fun questions, and then we're going to head into some more business questions. You ready?
Yes.
And I know you're a very healthy person, so I'll start off with Oreos. Original, double stuff, or mega stuff? Which one?
Original. Sorry.
It's okay.
I like the proportions.
You like the texture.
Perfect. But I haven't had an Oreo in many years. I will have one again sometime.
Okay. Yes, it's there's double stuff all over this place.
Double stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm the one who buys it, and I blame it on the kids. So
got it. Yeah. Well, if you have, how old are your kids?
14, and she's in the bedroom.
Okay, so you can still get away with that.
Oh, I blame it all on her. It's ridiculous. Except the only thing is, she really only eats vegetables and healthy foods. Yeah. What do you want for dinner? Tuna tartare. She doesn't want cheeseburger. She's not like that. She's good. She's fine. What, since you're working on the pizza, what's the favorite topping?
I love, I tend to overcomplicate it, so I'm working on not doing that, but I do love just a classic margarita with fungi, mushroom. Nice. I love that.
Nice.
With a little sauteed like kale with garlic and olive oil and lemon on the side.
We're taping this at 6 o'clock. I'm starving. Roller coasters, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. French fries.
I get very scared, but I like to scream.
Oh, so you'll scream at that. Okay. French fries or onion rings?
French fries,
Fries?
but I love onion rings too.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
Here's another food one. Pickles, yes, or you just don't get it? You don't know what the fuss is. That's a yes.
All about pickles.
I think I know the answer to this. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
That post you did with the neighbor with the dog shower?
Oh, yeah.
Epic. That was epic. That was adorable.
I am so lucky. And it's the best haircut he's ever had.
Oh, my God. Epic. Beach or mountains?
Beach. I mean, I love them both.
I would have lost the bet. I would have went with the mountains.
You know what? Here's the thing. For my second home, I love the mountains. For vacation, I love the beach.
There you go.
So that's the truth.
That makes sense. What's the restaurant that you miss the most?
That is so difficult because I love food. I love restaurants. Well, I own a piece of one, so I better say that one, I'm going to give you more than one, but one is Batard in Tribeca.
Which one?
Batard. It's my partner's Drew Nipperant, and it is just fabulous.
Right.
Atmosphere and food, and it's a Michelin star restaurant. And then I have to say that one is Four Horsemen because my son works there. He's a chef, and it's also got a Michelin star not long before COVID.
Cool.
And they're out. But I really also love in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, a restaurant called Antica Pesa. It's amazing. I discovered it in Rome originally, and it was like probably 10, 12 years ago. And then the owner came on to me and tried to pick me up, which didn't happen. But we became friends.
Okay, that's fine.
He called me incessantly after that night, and we never went anywhere. But and the reason why we became friends is because I have an Italian client who's also from Rome, and I was getting a little nervous because he was very persistent, this restaurant owner. So I called my friend. I texted him actually while I was in Rome, and I said, I know this is going to sound strange, but I just have this feeling that you might know this person, and I'm in Rome. And he said, what's his name? And I told him his name, Francesco, and his last name. I won't say it now. But he's great. We're great friends now. And I said, do you know him? And my client named Valerio said, do I know him? He's like a brother to me. And I said, oh, great. So I can trust him. And then he quickly texted back and he said, no, you cannot trust him. So it was funny. So anyway, then he opened in Brooklyn, which was amazing because the food and the atmosphere is incredible. Best cacio e pepe in New York City.
Oh, that's a big statement.
Yeah.
That's big.
You can tell that I'm a foodie by how long I went on about which restaurant.
My whole life is.
And then Bond Street too. I love Bond Street Japanese. My son is here dropping off my dog. So
yeah, my daughter just went into the pantry to find the snack. Okay. She was looking.
There. Look who came.
Turn the light on. Not for me.
Yeah, hi. Wait, what a pretty girl. Hi, what's your name? Jillian, are you going to continue to let your dad blame those double stuffed Oreos in the pantry on you?
I blame you. No.
You know it's him eating them all, right?
Oh. Go get snacks.
Good. Stay healthy.
Yes, turn the light. All right. Since she's here, we can do the dog thing too. I can get the dogs. But since she's here, here's the question. Have you ever made a TikTok?
No. And it's like, it's going to be left for a while in my lifelong goal category.
That's good. Put it down. Keep it down.
Yeah. My dancing is very interesting. My kids have more than once compared me to Elaine on Seinfeld.
I was going to say, right, it's Elaine. Yeah.
So I'm going to save that for a while.
I will say, somebody we both know, our friend Amir Karangi said,
oh yeah,
you could waste 45 minutes on it like this because the stuff that's on it is totally entertaining, better than anything.
Oh, I've looked on it, but I haven't made anything. Have you?
Yes, because of this one.
That's great. So
Yeah.
she's trying.
Yeah. If I'm alone, it seems inappropriate. I'm not,
Right.
but
That's
she'll drag me in. I think I know the answer to the question. Where's your happy place?
my happy place. I have several of them. Honestly, the Hudson Valley is my happy place. Rhinebeck, my home in Brooklyn, is my happy place too. And anywhere near the ocean is also my happy place. So I have a few.
It's a good answer. This is the way it goes. I'm going to go to the business questions in a second. This is the last one. What do you want to do when there's a green light and a level of comfort? What's the first thing you want to do without a mask?
Shout for joy, for one thing. Yes.
Hey.
What else do I want to do? I want to hug people.
The big hug. The big hug.
Give big hugs to people who I haven't been able to be with and hug and show love to. How about you?
Same thing. Seeing my mom across a lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And just to have some level of peace.
Definitely.
Weird. I'm a big hugger, so it's like
unity. I'm a big hugger and we have lots of dinner parties in my family, and we call them commune dinners. And they're just all about people and great food, good conversation, being together, music, laughter.
What else is there?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's it. That's the whole thing.
All matters.
There's nothing else. All right, let's get to what will never be as interesting as the last 35 minutes. Business.
Go for it.
All right, let's go. So you're doing deals.
Yes.
Deals have been done. Has it picked up? We're doing this arguably in like the 12th week of this. Has it been going steady? Has it picked up?
We were lucky that we had some deals brewing in the beginning, and we were lucky that we got some of them, not all of them, to fruition, which was extremely challenging just because no one knew what the protocol was, how to go forward. So the first closings were like, a little hairy, but then it sort of calmed down. We had a few people buy sight unseen or having seen things once, which was interesting, but it worked out. Those deals still haven't closed. Okay. And then last week, suddenly there was an uptick in first the Hudson Valley. Well, that's another thing I should say. I work in the Hudson Valley, and I have a base there, so that has been not a huge flow, but a steady flow of both high-end rentals and small sales.
Are you seeing the influx from the city? Are you seeing people talking about moving trucks and things like that?
Oh, definitely. I had one family who came to me. I've never met them yet. I never met the co-broker, who was also the owner of the house. I never saw the house because I had COVID. I was in active COVID when they came in. Mm-hmm. They saw the house on their own. Up there it's different because there's lock boxes, and if the owner arranges directly, you're allowed to do it. So they have two 2-year-old twins. They were staying with her mom in Saugerties, New York, and she was 8 months pregnant.
Oh, goodness.
He's a science researcher working on COVID. Wow. She works at Facebook but was working from home, and she said, I'm due in a month, and I want to, first phone call, I need to buy a house and move in before I have the baby because I don't want to go back to the city to have the baby.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Mine is sleep.
Good. So that was very interesting. And she actually did have the baby last week upstate, which was amazing. There you go. Now your dog is hearing my.
They just went to the door.
This is the reality of working from home. If this were a phone call, I would mute you and then I would yell at him.
Oh, right.
I don't want to show myself yelling at my dog.
Yeah.
Lennon, stop it.
The same thing.
Yeah. So it's been steady, but not for the long term. I wouldn't want it to be like this, but we've been really very lucky. And then last week, first upstate, and then toward the end of the week here, almost like a switch was flipped, even
Yeah.
though it was only phase one.
Yes.
Lots of calls, lots of inquiries, lots of emails, everything running the gamut from, you know, rentals to huge commercial deals and everything in between, residential luxury in between.
Yeah, something happened last week. I don't know what it was. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
More calls from last week till today than the previous 11 weeks.
Oh, exactly.
And a dozen people interested in fairly consequential things and what's it going to cost to put it back together again and where do you think it is? And so I was like, wow, I'm working again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, oh, you know, I'm working at 2:45 on a Tuesday and then I'm not working at 3:15.
And then up 3:15
right.
Done. That was
like, okay, right. For the house, it's like, oh, let's go in the pool, you know. But no, there's definitely action on phone calls and things like that.
Definitely.
So that's something. What do you think? It's a hard question, but what do you think is going to be the play coming out of this? You know, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, people were like, oh, townhouses. Now we have current events. Do you think townhouses are still going to be the play? We all know they're undervalued to an extent. Where do you think new development fits in? What do you think? Where do you think people are going to be going?
Well, it's
related.
An interesting question. Without a crystal ball, obviously we don't have absolute answers, but my thought is that townhouses definitely will benefit. And I'm seeing that. I have a townhouse that's been on the market since February. And so obviously I didn't have much of a chance to show it before COVID. But we've had 4 showings. And as I said, it's totally empty and there's a lockbox. So 4 different people have viewed it and we have an offer as of yesterday. And all of that activity started last week. So I have to think that that's not just a coincidence of our coming out of it, because I have other listings too. And it was, you know, it's the townhouse that's getting the most love. I do think that there will be some absorption, which will be great for the townhouse market. But I also think that, you know, as things calm down, people are looking for deals. And to the extent that our seller market runs the gamut from people who don't need to sell at all and people who, as time goes by, that need becomes more prescient. I think that there are some deals. We've got buyers bidding on stuff and people are negotiating more than one would have expected.
Bottom feeders or legitimate?
You know, I don't really deal with bottom feeders because I don't think that is productive. Usually it's a waste of my time. So I try to really educate people to get realistic, but try to work to leverage what we can to their advantage, whatever's going on. So no, I wouldn't say like 25% off, but maybe 10, 15, maybe even 20 in some cases. And I think that properties feel more accessible, not just because nothing has been or very little has been selling and going into contract, but also I think brokers who are busy listing brokers often don't take the time or have the energy or just don't want to necessarily work really hard to make something work. And I'm seeing a very different, and that's not all brokers, but it's just one factor. And I'm seeing some brokers who wouldn't give some of my agents until they put me on CC on an email, the time of day, really giving them the time of day and really wanting to create a meeting of the mind. So that's really nice. And I think that, you know, I do think people will come back to new development. I think people are going to come back to all product. It's just a matter of when.
Patience.
That's what we don't know.
Right. Patience and time. That's really what it is. It seems to be an incredible opportunity if you have the stomach to take on a state property and deal with a project.
Definitely.
Sellers are getting pressured like there's no tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, and that people have been calling. So you know, people apparently still have the stomach for it, which is but they also are expecting to buy it at a discount that is compensating them for going through the process.
Definitely.
And I can't argue with them. It's hard to say to somebody, you know, you're wrong. You aren't entitled to 20% off this because you're going to go through a year and change project in a somewhat crazy world. They're not wrong. So, but
Yeah,
they're willing to do it. That's a sign of confidence.
definitely. And you know what? A lot of what I tell my buyers, because they're like, is everything at a discount? In New York City, it's never the case that everything's at a discount.
Right.
Even though I don't usually say never, but it's
Right.
never the case that there's a blanket statement. The only blanket statement that's a universal truth that holds in any market is that the market will show what the market will bear. But if you have a sellers have lives and motivations that are different, and sometimes time is not a factor at all. They're not in a hurry. They don't care. Sometimes people are in a hurry because they want to buy something or their lifestyle's changing. So it's really case by case.
I know you love all your listings. Do you have a favorite one?
For my listings,
Do you have a favorite listing?
I have a favorite listing right now of mine, which is 112 Franklin Street, which is in contract. We just put it into contract. And it's just such I love classic lofts. As you might know, I've renovated several of them. And I love the sense of character and history and then modernity that people infuse with people like you, which hopefully we're going to do a little project together very soon.
Sounds great.
So yeah.
Great. The location's fantastic.
Yeah. The location's fantastic. And it's a very old building, and it's almost like you walk in the lobby. It's pretty crummy, but I love the surprise. And then you take the key lock elevator up and you open the door and it's like, wow. And it makes it feel even better. And honestly, Lee, I think you're going to get really busy. And this is one reason why I think the real estate market's going to get busy, because there's a psychology to buyers or potential homesteaders,
Sure.
nesters. And when someone is deprived of even the option of something for a while, like, doing a renovation or purchasing a new property, and they're so consumed with work that they can't even think about it, and they think, oh, well, it's always going to be there. I think people psychologically have come to embrace this nesting instinct, myself included.
Me too.
Me too. I mean, I totally redid my whole roof deck, myself, what I could do. I mean, just with the gardens and the furnishings and everything, and put in an outdoor shower. And I think that, yeah, it is.
It's the best invention.
But I'm like, and I was like obsessed with this. And I thought, why am I doing this? And it's like, home makes you feel safe when things are uncertain,
Absolutely. And it's your home.
Yes.
Like 5-6 weeks into this, in the backyard, 9 o'clock at night, and I'm raking leaves.
Exactly.
And the question is, why are you raking the lawn? And this was the answer: because it's my lawn.
Right.
As opposed to waiting for the gardener to show up in 3 weeks. I'm like, it's my lawn. I want to rake my lawn. And it felt so. I've never been so connected with my house as I have been, and I don't think it's going anywhere.
Right.
I don't think that's changing anytime soon. Jillian said, would you ever sell the house? I said, no, it's yours in 26 years anyway, so you sell it. I'm like, yeah. That's it. So the good, the bad,
Exactly.
Here, I'm okay with that. I'm all good with that. What do you, in terms of the business model?
Yes.
You don't change it? Or have you adjusted it?
The only thing I really have been sensitive to during COVID is I've changed my marketing rhythm. I slowed down my marketing so much. And when I have sent out my regular monthly mailings, and, I've obviously had to do some promotional mailings, I think it's very important to be sensitive to what's going on with COVID-19, how different communities are experiencing it, and what's going on in the world. So I've held back at certain times on marketing, because I feel like there was a long period of time where it was basically futile, and I didn't want to get stale before. And I put into place this strategy where I got a ton of marketing prepared with my team to release just before the phase 1 opening. And then next we'll do, so I ramped up as we ramped up, because gotcha. I really didn't want to waste. People have a short little span of attention, as you know, and they get a lot of junk and they get a lot of people wanting to seem relevant. And to be honest with you, there was a time where I didn't feel like real estate was really relevant to people's lives in the way that it was. And I worked really hard to sort of shift our messaging.
You did a good job. I got one more fun question, and then honestly, the last question, because of your perspective and because I know bits and pieces about you, I'm really dying to hear. So here's the fun question. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh God.
Came out of left field.
Probably salted caramel.
Thank you for not saying mint chocolate chip. Thank you so much. Like mint chocolate chip. I'm like, oh. All right, here's the end. And it's a good one because I respect and appreciate your perspective. What's the takeaway from all of this?
All of this meaning what? All of
right. Yeah, that's right. All of what we what's your and you've recovered from it. What is your takeaway from all this? I agree with you. The amount of time you got to think and pause. You know, yeah. I've said people have had time to think, which is a good thing. People have had time to think, which cannot be a good thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But
But go ahead.
What do you think what's the number one perspective or the couple of elements, the takeaways from all of this that we're all experiencing?
I think that if you see the opportunity, it is there to become a more conscious, evolved human being, more compassionate, more efficient, more effective, just better all the way around. And that's been my goal. I mean, I've spent a lot of times having conversations with my kids around COVID, and especially around, you know, the recent killing of George Floyd and the aftermath of that. And, you know, we have protested together very, you know, we're kind of I don't want to use the word I was going to use because it's probably not very elegant, but you know, we stay as socially distant as possible with our masks on, so we're not in the thick of it.
Right.
But I think that the fact that the world had basically stopped and then this happened, and what was galvanized as a result of it, I don't think that would have happened if it weren't for COVID. And I don't want to be too political, but I think it's very, very important, in fact, critical and essential that we come together as a society and unite, because COVID opened our eyes really wider than they could have been opened to the fact that, you know, we protect each other to the point of we protect each other in our lives. And I think that mindset opened the door for like people to be feeling pretty compassionate. And I'm really thrilled for that. And I hope that change will come from it.
I hope it's so.
Yeah. So I think the nugget is don't stop being as conscious as you have been. Don't stop, you know, working to be your better self.
Right.
And that's in every aspect. So many things we've talked about: self-care, compassion for others, doing for others, and being focused on what you do in terms of business. And also be your most present self in embracing life and enjoying things like cooking and food, and most of all, people.
If you love your friends and you love your family, I've always said the best investment you can make is in yourself.
That's right.
Because it pays off to all those people you seem to care about and you want to do right by, and all the people you want to take care of. That's it.
That's exactly right. And COVID is a great analogy for that. It's like
Absolutely.
A literal analogy. Like, I wear a mask to protect you. You wear a mask to protect me. And there's something very beautiful about that.
And I've been back for 2 weeks, and I got to tell you, there are people walking around, and it takes every ounce of my self-control who aren't wearing a mask to go,
No.
Really?
I know.
And you got to be kidding me. And then my last 2 cents is John Oliver the other night.
I love John Oliver. I forgot to mention.
Right, I know. John Oliver's the best. And he had this one line, and yes, he goes off sometimes, and also he had this one line. He said, you know how we got here? We got here on purpose.
Right.
Now, let's fix this.
Right. On purpose.
and do the right thing. Talk about, flattening the curve,
Yeah,
level the playing field.
that's right.
And then all of a sudden, the payoff is going to be tremendous.
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 And I mean,
Even calculate it.
I envision, in my most optimistic moments, a world where people really are more respectful, and they really are better human beings because of this.
There's always going to be outliers. Don't go with
Will
the,
be.
no, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Most people are going to stay the course.
So I always say my whole motto in life, which everything boils down to most times, is be a part of the solution rather than part of the problem. That's it.
This is a virtual hug. I love that. I say it. It's like, I want to be part of the solution because who wants to be part of the problem?
Right.
God, it's draining. It's exhausting. First of all, thank you for taking the time. Second of all, thank you because, like I said, 4 years ago, I sent you something and you saw it and you were like, this is a good idea. And come and talk to people. And I was scared out of my mind. It was the first or second real estate thing I ever spoke to. And
you were great.
And I may have stopped at a bar in advance. I may have had some tequila. I'm pretty sure I did.
That's okay.
We'd have to talk to my right hand who we're not together, but I could call her and ask her. And it was great. And it just started. So
awesome. I'm so happy.
When all of this ends, I'm coming to Brooklyn, my hometown.
You are coming to Brooklyn.
I'm coming to Brooklyn to see you.
We'll have some tequila and some food, pizza. And I mean, that's a mixed metaphor ethnically, but that's okay.
That's okay.
And then I need to brainstorm with you about my kitchen.
It would be my pleasure. It'll be great. Thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy
the
family. Enjoy the world. I'm sorry?
What a pleasure.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.